What happens when a first-term congresswoman, armed with nothing but a folder of forgotten truths, walks onto live TV and shatters the carefully crafted silence surrounding one of the most guarded women in America? The moment Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett slid that unmarked folder across the studio desk, the air in the room turned to ice. Everyone watching, including Melania Trump, knew the rules of the game had just changed forever. The cameras were rolling, the studio lights were blinding, and the audience at home had no idea they were about to witness the political equivalent of a detonated bomb. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett had walked into the studio that evening looking every bit the composed lawmaker, sharp navy blazer, steady gaze, hands folded neatly over a plain manila folder resting in her lap. No one would have guessed that inside that folder were documents so explosive they'd send shockwaves through Washington, the media, and the untouchable world of Melania Trump. Across from her, Melania sat with the practiced poise of a woman who had spent years perfecting the art of evasion. She had mastered the subtle tilt of the head, the dismissive half-smile, the way of answering questions without ever really saying anything at all. The host, a seasoned moderator who had navigated 1,000 political landmines, steered the conversation toward ethics, a safe, predictable topic. Or so he thought. Then Jasmine leaned forward, just slightly, and the room tensed. "Since we're talking about ethics," she began, her voice calm but razored, "let's stop pretending some people get a free pass just because of who they married." The silence was immediate. The host's smile faltered. Melania's fingers tightened imperceptibly around the armrest of her chair, and then Jasmine did the unthinkable. She opened the folder. One by one, she laid them out: bank transfers, shell company registries, a buried investigation from upstate New York that had mysteriously vanished years ago. Each document had one thing in common: Melania's name, hidden beneath layers of legal jargon and offshore accounts. "These aren't conspiracy theories," Jasmine said, her voice never rising. "These are court records. These are financial logs. These are the paper trails no one wanted to follow." Melania's composure cracked just for a second, a flicker of panic in her eyes, a hesitation before her PR-trained instincts kicked in. "This is absurd," she said, but the usual steel in her voice was missing. "I won't dignify lies with a response." Jasmine didn't blink. "Then you won't mind an investigation?" The studio erupted. Producers scrambled. The host's earpiece buzzed with frantic directives from the control room. But it was too late. The clip was already spreading like wildfire. Within minutes, #Crockett vs Melani was trending. By midnight, journalists, lawyers, and ordinary citizens were dissecting every page Jasmine had revealed. Some called it a reckoning, others called it a witch hunt. But one thing was undeniable: for the first time in years, someone had dared to question the untouchable. Behind the scenes, the backlash was swift. Threatening emails, smear campaigns, a sudden flood of op-eds painting Jasmine as reckless, ambitious, a troublemaker. But she didn't flinch, because this wasn't about politics. It was about the truth and the people who had spent years bearing it. As the hearings unfolded and more whistleblowers came forward, one thing became clear: this wasn't just about Melania. It was about every powerful person who thought silence would protect them forever. So here's the real question. If one woman with a folder full of documents could shake the foundations of power so easily, what else is still hiding in the shadows? What do you think? Drop a comment below. Do you believe Jasmine was right to speak up, or was this political overreach? And most importantly, who's next?